Welcome back to Rural Live TV. Thanks to TNR Pastoral. Well, Rob, the election might not be wrapped up in terms of exactly who will be forming government, but a great many, all the seats now have just about been counted and tallied. There's so many stories right across the nation just in looking at some of those little snapshots. And that's what we like to do today. Look at the area of Page, where Janelle Saffin was something of not a revelation, Rob, because there's been some success there in the past, but in terms of the broader picture and looking how Labor performed in New South Wales, where, by their own admission, the brand did become poisonous. Janelle was returned with an increased margin by 4.8%. That's remarkable. Now, just give us a little bit of context, Rob, in the sense of a state where the swing has been so far away from Labor. To get 4.8% back to you, how hard and difficult is that?
Well, with one like that, you could not go past. It's a personal vote.
Yep.
So Janelle's obviously worked very hard. I've read a bit about some of her work, and obviously she's got a few runs on the board, which is good. But that is, I think, she would have had to been happy to have sort of held ground to where she was. But
yes, yeah, that would have been a victory.
That was quite an effort, and a lot of it's a rural area like. Grafton, Lismore are probably, pretty strong areas for her, but there's a lot of rural country there as well.
And as we mentioned, bordered by, of course, Tony Windsor's seat of New England and Rob Oakeshot's seat of Lynn. It's an absolute hotspot in the country at the moment. Janelle, welcome to the program and congratulations to you.
Thank you. Janelle, and yes, I'm happy.
And well, you might be, Janelle. Can you tell us then, in your own words, to what do you owe that bucking of the trend and that massive swing back towards yourself?
Look, people expect you to be an advocate first and foremost, and that's what I am. I'm their representative, so I give a voice to what they want expressed. I do that in Canberra. I do it wherever I need to do it, and just to speak out and speak up for them on issues, and that's what I've done, and not wait for someone to say, oh, this is going to be okay, just get out, and also lead, and even lead on some issues, like there's a big debate going on about refugees, asylum seekers, and not be frightened of any of those debates and get out and talk about the facts as opposed to the fear.
Yeah, and of course, you'd probably have a pretty strong sort of network of local newspapers and radio stations and whatever there. That's one thing that city politicians don't often understand, that the country's very different as far as your local media goes, and the better you use that, the better off you are.
You're right. I have 2 daily newspapers. There's one in Lismore, one in Grafton, Northern Star, Daily Examiner. I've got weeklies. I write about 9 monthly columns.
Wow.
I have daily radios, 2GF, 2LM, community radios, Paradise FM, 88.9 FM, 2NCR FM, and the TVs, NBN. So when I talk about NBN, I talk about National Broadband Network. I use the full name because we have NBN TV, and Prime, and there's the Southern Cross. So there's lots of media, and being a rural regional MP, you're always in the media, and it's always on the spot. Here it is, do it now.
Yeah. I see you described as feisty a couple of times. Is that a fair tag?
It's a fair tag. And people comment, I know we shouldn't comment about size and all those things, but, I'm 5 foot, 152 centimetres, pretty small. And people often comment about that because they've heard me on TV, on radio, and when they meet me, they go, oh, my goodness. They expect sort of this 6-foot person to loom out, and this sort of petite woman arrives. They're quite surprised. But similar Kay Hull, Kay Hull was the previous member for Riverina.
Yep.
She didn't stand again, and we were sort of like 2 little women of Parliament, and both feisty.
Yeah. What's the... Do you get much of a feeling about what the people in your electorate feel about the Tony Windsor situation at the moment?
People feel like during the election, what I said publicly, what I said privately was there was no mood, overall national mood for change, and that I think in some of our seats that shows up first. So there wasn't this mood, we've got to change, and there wasn't a mood that we want Tony Abbott for Prime Minister. That just didn't exist. What existed was some people feeling disgruntled and a bit unhappy about things, you know, with the government. So that existed right across this area. People in our area know Tony Windsor a fair bit. Everyone I see that Rob Oakeshott and Bob Catter, they're very experienced parliamentarians, politicians. They know the issues that and the policies need to be rolled out in rural and regional areas, and, you know, they'll make their decisions accordingly. So people are sort of watching and waiting, like everyone.
Yeah. With your the state electorates that are within your seat, who holds those?
3 National Party members. I have 3 state seats. I have the seat of Ballina, Don Page, the seat of Lismore, Thomas George, and the seat of Clarence, which is Steve Cansdell, and they're 3 sitting relatively long-term state National Party members.
Well, that makes your result even better. No, that's and you were previously in the New South Wales Parliament, weren't you?
I was in the upper house.
Yep.
Served 8 years in there, so got to know the state really well, and that was when Tony Windsor was a state MP when I was there, and so was Rob Oakeshott. And going off to federal parliament with that state experience, I think all of that helps. Not everybody can have the same experience, but going to Canberra, someone said to me, they said, "Oh, are you worried about going to Canberra?" I said, "You're joking." Why would I be worried about going to Canberra? It's people, it's parliament, yes, it's seen as, the big one. But, one of the other things that's interesting, because particularly in the country, everybody says, "Oh, let's get rid of state governments everywhere. We just want federal government and stronger local government." And I say, well, that's not a bad idea, but remember, the states created the feds, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's it's a debate that often goes on. I'm pretty strong that you need the states.
Yeah, I'm sure, and it is.
Janelle, is there something peculiar about that part of northern New South Wales that perhaps you can let us in on, whereby you have yourself bucking the trend, you have the independents there, where the Nationals don't have such a strong foothold? Well, it does sound like they do still at state level, but federally, is there just is it a different region to the rest of rural Australia?
Oh, look, we all like to think we are, but we're very politically and civically minded here.
Okay.
Yeah, and really strong on issues and trends, but equally a huge community that cares about a lot of issues. When I was in state parliament, I was a Labor member of the Legislative Council, but there was also a Liberal MLC from Lismore, Dr. Brian Pizzuti. We had a Democrat, Richard Jones. We had Ian Cohen from the Greens over at Broken Head. And then we had also Peter Breen, who was for it was to do with Children and Justice, party. So the 5 of us were in the upper house and all from this area. And I said, no one ever wrote about that or talked about it, but I used to think it says something about us.
Yeah, absolutely. Does remarkably
strong
cosmopolitan political area there. Well, Janelle, you did tremendously well, and if it is such a politically minded and, as you say, a civically conscious area, then that's just a testament to the efforts you've done there, because those people are particularly aware of that kind of business. So, Janelle, congratulations again, and thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Janelle Saffin there, the Labor member for Page.